Okay, so today, before we dive into a design, I want to explain this media query first because this media query is very important. Very, very, very important because the design you'll be working on, you are going to be using or you are going to be doing the design that needs to be responsive. So you need to deal with the design that is now going to be responsive. And what do you refer to as responsive? It means your site can adapt to different screens sizes there, depending on the gadget that the user will be using to view your site. For example, now if you look at this design here, this is what you are going to get anytime you are looking at this site from a desktop screen. But if you are looking at the same site on a small screen, on a smaller screen there, this is what you are going to see. This is what we call responsive design. So your design is adapting to the screen size of the user because there's no way you most of the time there's no way you have a single design for all the screen size that we have out there because there's a lot of elements that you cannot place side by side on a small screen while some of them you can actually place them to the side, but almost all the time on the mobile you only stack all the elements on top of each other. As you can see here, this one is on top, followed by this, followed by the other content. But once you go to a bigger screen, you see that there is enough space, then you can put content side by side like this. So and how do you deal with your design so that it is responsive? That's where media query comes in. So with the help of media query, you can apply or change your style based on the screen or the orientation of their gadgets. So whether it is in portrait mode or in landscape mode. But the one we're going to be focusing on is this size here because most of the time it's the size that you'll be looking at, whether they are on their mobile, or the mobile have the size for them like that. And on the desktop too, we have the standard size that we normally use, and those are the size that you'll be targeting and you build your site on there. And almost all the design we're going to be working on later on, you see that they have two design: the design for desktop and the design for mobile. Not that you're creating two separate sites though, it's the same site, it's the same arrangement. The difference there is just the style that we'll be applying them based on the screen that the user is going to be viewing your site. So when they are on desktop, this is the design you are going to show, and when they are on a mobile, this is the design you are going to show. Look at this design too. Look at this button here. On a smaller screen, this is the way the design is going to appear to them. But once they move to a bigger screen, it's the same size. Look at where the button is now. It's not at the center again. It's now by the right hand side. But how do you change your style? Based on the screen size, because the user can actually change from one screen to another one. Even from here now, if I go to a particular site, you see that some elements are going to change. Even this Google Meet that we're using right now, look at this content now, this head is down, but once you increase this browser now, you see some of the items here are going to be repositioned because we now have enough screen. So look at it now, they are now by this side, it's not down here again. This is what we call responsive design. So your design is kind of adapt to your this thing is adapting to your screen depending on whatever the user is using. So when you're on small screen or the mobile, the design will be different, and when you're on a bigger screen, you're still going to have another design. But all of it is still the same side. And as you can see here, this is showing when you're on a particular screen, which is this 390 here. So when you're on this 390, look at the way the design is there like that. But once I increase the screen maybe to this 768, you are going to see that it's showing something else. Like the arrangement is different from what is showing when you are on this particular screen, which is this 375. Again, if I go to a bigger screen like around that 1024, you see that there's a lot of other elements coming out. What you'll be doing is just to hide some items or reposition them to another location on the page because there is no space on that screen that you are currently working on. This is what we call responsive design. You are not This is not a separate site, it's still the same site, but the styling there is changing based on the screen size that you are currently working on. So this is what I'm using right now is what we call the emulator here, which is what you can use to know how your site is going to look like on different screen, because there's no way you have all the screen or you have all the phone or the gadgets that to test all this thing. What do? You emulate the stuff just to see how it's going to look like on that device. I'm going to show you how to bring this in out, but you can actually use it to see how the site is going to look like on different screen size. And what is going on here again is what we call responsive design. And what are you going to use to do all this thing? It is this media query that I want to talk about, which is what you are going to use to talk to CSS that okay, anytime on this particular screen or you are this particular orientation, whether it is this portrait or landscape, this is what I want you to do, or this is what I want you to display to the user. So this media query you are going to be using to change your design based on the screen size that the user is working with there. And that's what you only see on a lot of sites. You have to, like a lot of sites these days, you need to make sure that your site is responsive, because not that you just design one and that's what is going to be for all the screen. No, because there's some element here that the way you position it on the desktop, that you can't do it like that on mobile because there is no space. And if you don't do this design correctly, look at it now. Once I reduce, as you can see, some of this element here now gone. The only thing you now have there is this one now to bring it out. Look at the design now. This is when you are on a mobile screen, but once you get to a bigger screen, there is space. You see that everything will go to the side there. But this person is even using two elements. But this is not how it's supposed to do it. As you can see, the problem that this thing is causing now. So the person did not really kind of take care of this thing like that. So this is a flaw in this design. You can see that there's one here, there's another one here, because the person did not take care of when your screen expand to a bigger. It's okay when it's on the mobile, but you have to close. But the person did not assume that okay, you can actually expand your screen. But if you look at it here, this is what we have on a desktop screen, but once you go down, you see that another thing will pop out there like that. This is what we call responsive design. Again, responsive design. And how do you achieve responsive design? You are going to be using media query, because that's what you use to talk to the browser to change a particular style based on the screen size that you are working with at that particular time. So how do you use media query in CSS? So how do you use media query in CSS? Let me save this one. What did I do here? So how do you use media query in CSS? So use media query in CSS. We have this at rules. So this is what we call at rules, and as you can see, the media is the first one, which is what we call the media query. This is the media query here. So at media, so the media actually have type. This is the pattern, and it has some other condition that you can attach to it. This condition is not a must. It's just something you might not need to put here, but we are going to be using this condition a lot because we want to condition our style based on the screen. But anytime you are doing media query, we have the type. This type too is not a must that you put it by default. It to be screen, because we have different types that you can listen for on your page. We have different types of media there. We have screen. Screen is what you are seeing right now. Apart from screen, we have print. So when you're in print mode, because you can print your page out. So when you're in print mode, this is another media entirely. So this one now is not the same thing as the normal thing you are seeing on the page. This is another media here. Maybe you want to apply this another style when you are printing your page. You can do that with the type too. But we're not going to be using the printing style. What we always be using here is the screen, because you're only focusing on the screen. We don't care about the printing stuff. But here, this is where you specify the type of the media that you want to target. And the one I want to target right now is a screen. So which means everything you are seeing on your page like this. And whatever you are not doing here is going to be your selector, which is your rule set. So whatever you'll be doing here is a rule set, which is what you normally do at the top bar here. Whatever you are doing here, what you are saying that this rule set should only be applicable when this your media is screen and the other condition that you want to use there like that. But here You are going to have the type, and this is the sample here. So we have media and screen. So this one now, I only want these rules that I want to set here to happen anytime I'm on a particular media there. What's the media? Screen. If you don't, whatever we used to do before, this one doesn't care about whatever media you're working with. Whether you're working with screen or you're working with print or other type of media, it will apply this thing there. But this one now, what you're saying is that this thing will only come out when you are working with print the screen media. For example, here now, if I select body and if I give it background of red like this, what I'm saying is that this background will only happen when we are working with the media screen. But I can actually change it to another thing when I'm working on print media. Instead of it to be this, I can actually use print media and select the body. So if I put this one around the background, let me put the background to be, let me use the same thing, background yellow like this. So if I save it, you see that nothing will happen because we are currently working with screen. So since we are working with screen, this is the rule set is going to be. But once you go to the media of print, then the body will switch from red and it will go into yellow. So you can actually apply style based on different media type are there. So now if I press Ctrl P again to enter the print mode, you see that this thing will not be using red again, it will now be using yellow because we are in that media now. Since you are in the media for print, it will give you whatever style you want to use for that one. But if you are not in the print, then it will be using the media for the screen. So these are the two common type of media that we have. There's a lot of other ones, but these are the two common ones there. And the one we're going to be using a lot is this screen here, because nothing concerned with the printing stuff. So the one we're going to be focusing on is this screen. But this screen too, we can actually add condition to it, which is the screen size. Because now this one doesn't care whether your screen is small or it is large or it is of any size, it will always be red. But I can actually condition this in that anytime on a media or screen and my screen is less than this particular size, this is the color I want you to use. So if this thing is bigger than this screen, this is the color I want you to use, and that's where this condition comes in. So how do you do that one? So this is it here. So I can actually use the media again like this, then the screen, then the condition now, so that I want to add. So the condition used to have the conjunction there like this or, but I don't like this or. What I want is and, because I want it to be screen and at the same time I want it to do what is on the left. So before this thing will work, whatever you have on the left and whatever you have on the right must be true before it will apply whatever you have inside it. And one of the conditions you can add here is this one here. As you can see, this is a condition here. What I'm saying here is that before they can apply anything here, which is this body, to have a background of green. Before the body can use this background of green, first of all, my media must be screen. And the second condition is that the width of the browser, the minimum should be 768. So which means once the browser enters 768 upward, the background will change to green. But if it is less than 768, it will use whatever that is there before. It will not pick anything here again. What's going on? So it's not pick anything from here, because the only time it will see this your rule set here is when this condition here, the two conditions are true. So when it is on screen and at the same time your screen is no greater than or equal to, because that's mean width, minimum is 7. So that means from this side upward. But you can actually do max too, because we have the max, can use max. Max means that the maximum is 768. So that means 768 downward. Min means 768 upward. So if I use this one now, it will use green when the screen is less or equal to 768. But once the screen is bigger than 768, it will not see that style again. It will now be using the former one, which is that red. So like that. And this is what you can now use now to change the way you position your element based on the screen size that you are currently working with, because this thing is always adapted to the screen. So if I go to a lesser screen, as you can see, it will be green, which I can actually use my emulator to see how it's going to be. As you can see, currently the screen size is 1024, so which is bigger than 768, so it will be using red. But if I go to 768, you see that it is red. It is green. Why is it green? Because here we have a rule set here under this media code that says that when we're on a screen and we have a screen that is less or equal to 768, the color of the background should be green. So with this, you can now start applying all these your style based on the screen, just like the way you have this design. So once you are now on a bigger screen, you want it to be like this. But if you are on a smaller screen there, you want it to be like this. So that's what you'll be using. This media code is what you'll be using now to switch all these your elements, to arrange them anywhere you want them to be based on the screen size here. And this is what we call responsive design. Not that you are designing the same site in multiple this is like you are creating different files for each screen size. No, it's still the same element that you have there. The difference there is just that you are changing the arrangement of the element based on the screen size that the user is currently using to view your site. And almost all the design we'll be working on always have these two design, one for mobile and one for desktop. Sometimes this design will be the same thing on both desktop and mobile, which is the one we did yesterday. It was the same thing, so you don't even need to worry yourself about whether you need to use media query or not. But because of this design here, some of the design later on, that the design you have on the desktop is not the same thing as what you have on the mobile, you need to use media query. As you can see from here, this button is by the right hand side, but once you go to the mobile, you see that it's now at the center. So you need to use media query to be able to do something like this, because there's no way you can just tell it that it should use this and still use the other one on desktop. So how is it going to do that? You need media query along with the condition that you are going to use to specify the screen that you want a particular design to happen. You can keep putting multiple conditions there if you want. So here too, and here I have for example, I have a mean width of 768, and at the same time I have max width of 1000 pixels. So this one is still valid here. What you are saying here is that when you're on a screen and you have a screen that is, greater or equal to 768, and at the same time is less or equal to 1000. That means the screen you are looking for here is within 768 and 1000. The screen must not be greater than 1000 and it must not be less than 768. So if you see a screen in that range, then the background will be green of the body. Background of the body will be green. But if this condition is not satisfied, or any one of them is not satisfied, then it will not do anything. That's why the hand is there. All the condition must be satisfied. Not that you only have this one and you now go and no. When you have 2000, 2000 is actually greater than 768. But now it did not satisfy the condition of this last one, which is 1000. So it will not work. All the condition here must be satisfied before it will apply anything inside it. So before you can apply anything inside it, all the condition must be satisfied there. So now if I save it and go back to the page, if I go back to the page, since this condition is satisfied, that's why you are seeing this. But now if I go to maybe 1440, it will not work again. If I go to 1024, it will not work because 1024 is greater than 1000. So what we are looking for is 1000. So if I reduce this one down to 1000, so if I give it 1000 like this, it will that it will work. But once it's 1001 like this, it will not work again because that's not what you are looking for. It said it must be between 768 and 1000 inclusive. It's including 768 and it's including 1000. But anything outside of 1000, it will not work. Anything below 768, it will not work because that's the condition that we specify here. So you can either use mean or you can use max depending on how you want. Look at what I'm using. I'm using mean on max. But if you use this one, you are actually targeting that particular screen alone, not a range. What you always target when you are dealing with responsive, what you always do is to target a range of device, not a particular device, because all devices that we have, they don't really have the same screen size, even though they look alike, but they don't have screen size. Luckily, with this your emulator, it come with different phones and different devices that you can use to test how it's going to look like on them like that. So you can see that it's iPhone SE, iPhone XR, and if you check each one of them, you see that this one is 414, the weight of it is 414, and if you check the iPhone 12 Pro now, you see that that one is now 390. So they are always in a range, not that it will stay at a particular size. And again, to look at it, I don't care about the height. The only thing we used to care about is the width, because the height can actually, you can put a lot of content and you keep scrolling up or you scroll down, but we don't like to scroll left or right. So you now arrange in a way that people user will be able to only scroll at one side, which is up or down, not like the both side are there. And all these devices they don't have the same width. So what you always do is to target the range, because we have range for mobile, we have range for tablet, we have range for small laptop, and we have a range for large laptop. And as you can see here, the browser has some of these common screen size. So if you look at it, if I click on this one, it's showing me now that you can see that it's mobile S, which means small phone, which is around that 320, all these old phone before. But most of the common phone these days, they have this around this 375, 41, whatever stuff like that. So this is another common screen that you only see on different device, but it is for mobile. Again too, another mobile here is this 425, and tablet is what follows it. So tablet you have the range of this 768 all the way to that 900 pixels. So all the tablet you are going to be seeing there is always between the 768 upward to around that 900. Not that the thing is only 768, it's always in the range of 768 all the way to 900. And if you look at it, there's some of these tablets here, like this iPad here. If you look at it, can you see that that one sef is even high a lot. So if I look at this iPad Air, can you see that that one is 820. It's still tablet, but this weight of it is 820. So not that all of them will be 768, but tablet starts from this 768 to around that 900 there like that. So if I still look at the iPad mini, as you can see, this one too is this the word is the mini. So see that the mini is 768, but anything less than 768 they are mobile screen. So from 768 all the way to 1900 here, they are tablet. Then from 1024, this is where the laptop starts. So your laptop is around this one. This is your laptop here, 1024. But that's not the only thing we have there. We have 1280, we have 1200, we have 1300, we have 1440, we have upward, like my own now is 1920. So but it's always in a range, not that you just target a particular screen. If you start targeting a particular screen, you are going to do a lot of work just to cater for all the screens. So you need to make sure that your site it's kind of responsive based on the screen that the user will be using to view your site. And depending on the designer you'll be working with, the designer is going to come with the design for both the mobile, tablet, and the desktop. I did not really say 1440, 1000. I mentioned desktop. So which means whatever anytime you are dealing with the design for desktop, you are working on this 1024 upward. So when you're talking about tablet, you're in the range of 768 to that 1000. And when you're talking about mobile, anything less than 768. And that's how you work. Not that you target a specific screen. No, you work with range. And based on that range, you see that your element will be adjusting to this screen there. So just like the way you see all these sites online, all of them they don't have one UI for all the screen. Look at it now. This is how this site is displaying for a base screen. But once I enter the responsive mode, you see that some elements on this page are going to be hidden up. But that's what you do. Sometimes you have to add some element because it can't just be on that screen that you want to. Can you see now? What was shown before is almost shown again because there is no space to put that in there. So what do? You do another design that will make sure that this thing is looking nice on this screen. See that a lot of elements at the top here they are not more showing because there's no space. But once I go to a bigger screen, you see that now they are coming out there. This is what we call responsive design. And what they are using to do this thing is a media query. Media query is what you are going to use to target a particular range of screen size there. Then based on that this thing here, you display some items or you hide some item or you kind of push some item to another place on the screen there depending on the design that you are working with. You are not going to be doing all this thing from your head. It's the design, and as you can see from here, this design is telling you that this button must be at the center on the mobile screen. But once you get to a bigger screen, this thing should be by the right hand side. You don't just come with your own design, except if you are someone that used to do with UI UX, you can do it yourself. But since you are learning now, you need to get a design. Then based on that design, you arrange your element and use some of the CSS property that we've talked about there, like that. So we have media query, and this media query is what you can use to apply style to your element based on the screen that the user is working with there, like that. And as you can see the sample from this side, this is how it is on this desktop. But once you go to 768 to see that the arrangement is different here. The same thing too when you go to a smaller screen, you see that the and as you can see from here, they are using the same design for both the tablet and the mobile. So just like the way we have this one, there are only two design here. The design for desktop, and as you can see, it said desktop preview, and the other one is just mobile design. So sometimes the design you'll be using on tablet will be the same thing for mobile, but you can work with a designer that can give you three design for all these range of devices that we have there. So, and if I click on this thing, you see that the way this thing is opening now is not the same thing you are going to see when you go to a bigger screen. It's not opening like that again because that is not the design for that desktop. But when you go to mobile, you see that the thing is going to open up like this and it's going to cover up the other content. But how do you do all this thing? I'm going to give you the property later on in the next class. The property you are going to be using to overlay or to put content on top of each other like this, which is what we call positioning. What they are using here is positioning along with JavaScript, because that's so when you get to positioning, you are going to see how you can do something that is moving like that. But media query is what you are going to use to change the interface of your design based on the screen size that the user is currently using to view your site. It's still the same thing, but they are changing the styling based on the screen. So some stuff here are going to change based on the screen size here. So if I click on this thing here, so if I click on it like this, and if I go to this smaller screen, you see that if I go to the CSS, some stuff will have been, as you can see here, where is it? So let me go to a bigger screen like this. Where are you? So let me see where they are using media query. All right, so this one, let me highlight everything like this. Where are you? Can you see now? Can you see what they are doing? So when you're on a minimum screen of 997, this is what they want to. So media query, there's no way you want to work on a design that it needs to be responsive that you're not going to use media query. And as you can see, they did not specify the screen, but that's the default. If you don't specify it, it will assume you are working with screen, and that's the reason why you see that I put the square. The square here means that it is optional. So it's not a must that you put condition, or it's not a must that you put this thing here like that. So that's why I put the square there. But anytime you want something to happen based on the screen, is either you use min or you use max. So this means from 997 upward, this is what they want to use. And anything below that, it will use something else. So if I go below 99, so if I go there now, 997, you see that it's still working. But now if I reduce the stuff like this, if I reduce it to 9, can you see now it will change? Because what they are expecting there is that thing is expecting 997 screen. That's the only time you will see that big, you will see it coming up. But once it's less than that 997, it will not work. So the only time to come outside is when you're on this 997 upward, and that's what YouTube will be doing. You talk to CSS that this screen, oh, once you're on this particular screen, this is what I want you to do. And if you're not on that screen, this is another thing that is going to happen. So, and it's media query that you're going to be using to change different things that you have on your page. And later on in next class, I'll be explaining this positioning stuff. But that's what you are going to be using. As you can see, as I'm scrolling, this one is not scrolling at all. You are going to see how to do all this thing, what I explain this positioning stuff like that. So that's what you'll be using, what you'll be using to do all this stuff that they are doing. And as you can see, this thing is scrolling, but the entire stuff is not moving. It's what is inside it that is scrolling. This one is just simple stuff. When we talked about overflow, that's where you see this one, because there's sometimes you don't have enough space, but the content you want to put there is really much. What do? You overflow the stuff, like you control the overflow, and you are going to see how to do this. The body is doing it for you automatically. That's why you are not seeing, because anytime you have a content that is more than the body, you see that it's scrolling. But for every other element, it doesn't do it like that for you. So you have to be the one that will control the stuff yourself. So the media query. So let's try to use it now to do some stuff. So let's use the media query to do some stuff now. So now that you know what is media query and what it can be used for, so let's kind of use it for something that is meaningful there. And please, there is something that I actually skip before that, which is very important, which is something that is really important. There is the way you handle the responsiveness there. Because you know we said we have design for different screen. So which one are you now going to work with first? Are you going to work with the mobile first before you now expand it to desktop, or you are going to work with desktop first, you now scale it down to mobile? So you can use any of these two methods, but the one I always love to use and it's really easy to work with is mobile design first. So we have mobile design first, which means you are whatever design you want to work on first, you only focus on the mobile. The styling you'll be doing first will be mobile. Then you now use media query to scale it up to desktop. So that's what we call mobile design first. So which means you are only focusing on the mobile. Then when you are done with the mobile, you now scale it up so that your site is going to look nice too on the desktop screen there. And when you are doing that, it's always easy to scale up. So this one is really easy to scale up. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually use the desktop design first, which is something I hate, because when you are coming from up downward, it's always hard to fit in some elements. Just like you have a big drum, you now want to take it down. It's only going to take a lot of effort to make it look smaller. But something that is kind of like you have a small box, you can actually expand it upward. It's kind of like you just set it up and add other elements to it so that you can expand it. So some people like to use it like this, while some people used to do it like this, or you can even combine both of them together based on different section on a page out there. But the one I always love to use here is this mobile design first. So which means anytime I want to do design, you always see me worked on mobile first. I only focus on mobile. When I'm done with the mobile, then I will expand the browser and now adjust the style so that it works on the desktop too. So first, you are focusing on the mobile, and when you are done with the mobile, you now expand the browser and you start adjusting the element so that it looks the same thing that you want on the desktop. And that's what I'm going to do here, because I have two elements. If you look at it here, I have main. Inside the main, I have two elements here, which is this box, and at the same time, I have this box. But what I want to do is that on mobile, the two boxes are going to be stacked on top of each other. But once you get to desktop, they are going to be side by side. So which is right now, you look as if they are stacked on top of each other, but it's not like you can actually move them side by side with the help of the flex property that I explained. So in order for you to move all these things side by side, you need flex. And let me quickly do some of this setting here that we need. So first of all, I will select the body, the weight. These are the default setting that you need to do, which is something I've already done here before. So this is the minimal setting you always do in your CSS, which is to reset the padding, the box size, sizing there. So for the body, this is the minimum setting too that you need for it. So the width should be 100% like this, and then the height, which is going to be minimum height. Please, I mentioned something yesterday. Your body is not actually here o. Just because you apply color, just because you apply background of red here and the background color is getting here, doesn't mean the body is down here. The body is not actually here. The body stops where the content inside it stop. So if the content is not up to the height of the browser, that's where it's going to stop. So for example here, if I just use linear gradient like this of red, blue, like this, can you see where it stops? So body is always at the side where your this thing is stopping. It's not really stopping at this place. Oh. That's the reason why I made this mini eye. So what this mean eye used to do is that you can actually use it to correct where the body is going to stop by default. There. So here now I can use 100 VH. And what I'm doing here is that what I'm saying is no matter the content that is inside the body, I want the body to always maintain the minimum height of the screen. It can expand, that's why it is main, not the height. Because when you say height, it means you want it to stop here, which is bad because it will not be able to scroll when you have a larger content inside the stuff. And that's why it is main. So I don't care whether the content is here or is here or is here or is here. I want the body to always be here, the height of the body to always be here first, but it can expand more than that if there is content inside it. So now if I save it now, can you see it will always be at this. Don't forget VH is talking about the viewport height, and I said it should maintain a minimum of 100, so which means 100% of this height. And again too, which means if you are looking at it on the phone, it will be the height of the phone, the browser that you have there. So which means if I reduce this height, it will always adjust it automatically. But if you look at it now, you see that there's no space to accommodate all the content. You know, the thing have to scroll, and that's why I use me, because it can expand more than that. But if the content is not up to the height, I want the body to always maintain the minimum height of the screen. So that's this setting is there like that. So what this setting is doing is that even if the content is not up to the height of the browser, I want the body to always be matching the height of the browser, main height. If this thing is not there, the body always stop where your content stop. But here now, since the content is not up to this place, like if I reduce it, you think it's actually working. It's because there is no space. Like the height of this browser now is not up to the height of the content. That's why it looks as if the body has already gotten here. But the body is not there, because if you put this thing into a height that is bigger than the content, you are going to see that this thing is not actually there. It's stopping where your content stop. So it doesn't get down here. So just because you apply background and the background looks like it covers everything, no, the body is not there. The body is actually here. So in order for this thing to maintain the minimum height of the screen, then you use this main height. So make sure that even if the content is not up to the height of the screen, the body should always be at this particular location here. So what do we need to do next? The next thing I need to do is to select my main based on the way I arrange. I want this thing to have a background color of white like this. So I want it to have I don't need border radius. So I need padding on it to be around that 1 rem, because if you look at it, the content is too jam packed to the end. But there's another thing that I mentioned yesterday, you are not on call, is about this silly image here. Look at it. The image is going outside of the screen. So another way of stop this thing, one thing that we normally add to this body too is overflow, which is something I've not explained before. But now, overflow is what we normally use to control any content that is going outside of the parent. That's what we call overflow. Look at it. This is where the parent is. So this white now is the parent where it's stopping. But now the image is going outside of it. This is what we call overflow. So how do you control this thing? Because by default, what is going to happen is that the thing is going to be visible. Visible means it will go outside of its parent. But you can actually control what is going to happen with this overflow content by using this overflow. So overflow is what you can use to control what is going to happen. And overflow comes in two directions. You have the X and you have a y. But this overflow will work for both x and y at the same time. As you can see, we have auto, we have hidden, we have scroll, and we have visible. What is here by default is this visible. So which means anything that is outside we only show. But sometimes you don't want them to show. What do you use? We have hidden. So anything that is trying to go outside of its parent, just cut it out at that place. And then I save it here, it's not showing anything. Why is it not showing anything? Because the actual parent is this box here, like that. So, but another one that you can use it, let me apply it on that box itself so that you can see what is going on there. But I will clean this in. So if I use overflow hidden, can you see? Once starting is trying to go, let's say the image, this is the parent. So anything that is now trying to go outside of the box, cut it out. That's hidden. So that's the value of the hidden. When you just say visible, it will just be like the way it is before. It will show. So once it's going out, it will show like that. Another one is auto. But before auto, we have scroll. Scroll means that it will not allow the element to go outside of it, but it's going to give you this scrolling stuff that you can use, and that's what the body is doing. So that anytime the content is more than the body, what it will show is to give you the scroll so that you can see the remaining content. So the same thing too, you can do it with this box. So instead of it going outside of the box like this, you want it to give you a scroll so that you can now scroll from left to right or top to bottom depending on which one that is trying to go outside. But if you look at it now, it's trying to go on the x-axis, so which means it will give you the scroll for, but when you say scroll, it will give you scroll for both x and y, but the one that is scrolling is only one that you can scroll. As you can see now, it's not going outside again, but you can now scroll to see the remaining, and that's what this site is using here, that one that I mentioned. So it's what this site is using. If you look at it here, there's a lot of content inside that parent and it cannot accommodate all of them. What did they do? They now scroll it. See, it's not, the parent is not moving, but the content inside it is going to scroll. So what they are using here is scroll. So when whatever that is inside is more than that parent, you use overflow. Then based on the overflow value you want to use, then it will either be scroll or hidden. If it is hidden they are using here, it means it cannot scroll, and whatever content that is outside of that parent, it will cut it out. But instead of it cutting it out, we don't want it to be like that. What we want to do is can you see that scrolling is no more there because the content is not actually going outside. But now if you have a smaller screen that is not up to the image, since it's not up to the image, it will go outside of its parent. But instead of going outside, we said it should give us this scroll, and from there now you can scroll from left to right. The top here is still there, top to bottom is here, but because the image is not going outside of the parent in the vertical direction, so it's not showing like that. So, and again too, we have auto. Look at it now before I show you the auto so that you see the difference between scroll and auto. Look at it. You know there is no scrolling here, so the handle is not showing. So why do we need to show this scrolling bar? So that's where auto comes in. So auto will be looking at this thing that can scroll. If it can scroll, it will give you the handles. But if it cannot scroll, it will remove the handle. That's the auto. So it will be checking the stuff. So, but scroll doesn't care whether the thing can scroll or it cannot scroll. It will always give you handles. Because if you look at the Y now, you know it's not scrolling. Why do we need to see the handle there? So you can actually use auto for that. So when you use auto, can you see that it's no more showing the handle now? Because it knows that you cannot scroll on the Y. So why do I need to give you that handle? But here now, it knows that you can scroll from left to right. It's showing the handle. Again, if I expand it, since you cannot scroll again, it will remove it. So auto is looking at the stuff, whether to show the scroll or not, based on whether that thing can scroll there. So if you can scroll, it will come outside. If you cannot scroll, it will go out of it. So that sometimes you need auto, because when you're on small screen, you will not see any scrolling. It's when you're now on desktop that you see the scrolling. So when you're on mobile, there's no need of us seeing all the thing like that, or there's some screen that you don't want this thing to scroll. It's only when the content is not large that is going to scroll. So if the content is not large, we don't want to see that scrolling bar. So what you use is this auto, and you're going to see this thing being used a lot when we're dealing with a long content but the container is small. So when the container is small and the content is bigger than it, what do? You apply overflow. Then based on that, you can either use auto or scroll or hidden depending on what you are trying to do. Because sometimes you don't want any element to go outside of the parent and you still don't want it to scroll. What you use here is hidden. because that one you don't want it to show and just hidden like this, then it will just match whatever the parent is using like that. So there's sometimes you need this thing, and there's sometimes you need to scroll. It all depends on the design that you are working on. We determine the value you are going to use with this thing. So let me continue here. So let me apply it. Overflow to be hidden on the body, anything that is trying to go, but here now is not overflow hidden, no, because I don't want to look at it now. You know the Y can scroll on the body. So but if I do this thing, can you see now I cannot scroll down to see the remaining content because I've already hidden. Let me add a lot of content there so that you see, because this thing is going to cause a problem. So let me just put P here, and the P should have lorem 500 just to generate some random 500 text. So now, as you can see, once the thing, you cannot scroll down. It will never scroll down because of what I'm using here. But don't forget I said this thing can happen in two directions, X and Y. But when you say overflow, it's working on both X and Y. But you can actually specify the direction that you want. Which means this one now only want it to happen on X. Can you see that it's not scrolling on Y, but I can scroll on X. But the one I actually need here is X that I want to, because it's the X that I want to hide. I want the Y to still scroll there like that. And if I save it now, you see that the X is not scrolling again, it's only Y that is not scrolling. So you can actually mention the side you want, not just when you say overflow, it will work for both X and Y at the same time. But if you need any particular side, just mention it and it only affect that one without touching the other one there like that. So this overflow is very, very important because you're using it anywhere you have a limited space, but there's a lot of content inside it. So what do? You can either hide the content if you don't need it, or you scroll if you want the user to see the remaining content that is inside. And body is doing it for you automatically. You don't need to do that. But because I don't want this thing to be scrolling on the X, I don't want it to be going outside on the X. So that's how I'm hiding the stuff. So anything inside the body, any direct side of the body that is trying to go outside of it, just cut it out on the X. I don't want it to start doing this scrolling, because the scrolling on, can you see, you start scrolling, which is bad. You don't have, like, this is bad here. Scrolling from left to right is bad on the web. But you can scroll from up and down, but scrolling here like this is bad. So what do? You hide it when you don't need that. And as you can see, anything that is going outside, it will hide it. But there's another way of solving this problem of this image going outside of its parent, which is something that I mentioned yesterday. Check the yesterday video, you are going to see there. So we have a reset for image, because it's not every time the image you want to use, the image don't really follow their parent. So if the parent is small and the image is large, the image will go outside of its parent. But we have a way of telling image that don't go outside of your parent. No matter the size of the parent, that should be your maximum size too, your maximum width. So what do? Here you can actually use max width on the image. And as you can see, I'm selecting all the image on the screen and I'm using 100%. What this thing is saying is that all the image on the screen will never go past their parent. No matter the size of the parent, that's where they are going to stop. Even if the image is large, bigger than the browser, it will never pass the container where you put it. And if I save it here now, can you see, it will go down, but it will resize the image so that it fits in the parent. So, and this is the trick that you always use anytime you have image on the page. You always do this reset so that the image is not going outside and you not be the one that will start talking to it. It will adjust that image automatically based on its parent. So which means if I reduce the parent, it will reduce too. If I increase the parent, it will increase, but it will never increase past the original size of the image. If you want it to increase past the original size of the image, then instead of it to be max width, it's going to be width. So when you say width, it will always increase and decrease based on the size of the parent, like that. So here now, if I set the box to have a width of maybe let's say 100 pixels like this. So if I save it, can you see the image too will go down? The reason why it's going down like this is because of this reset here. If I do not do reset like that, as you can see, it will come outside because it doesn't care about its parent. It will maintain its original size It doesn't care about the size of the parent, but you want your image to always depend on its parent. So you use this one to reduce the image so that it will be adjusting based on the parent. You don't need to be talking to the image again. Talk to the parent and it will follow whatever the parent is doing there like that. Not that you'll be changing the stuff in different places. You use 100 here, you still go and use 100 pixels on the image. That's waste of typing because you actually control the stuff from the parent directly there like that. So we have overflow, we have all this other one. So let me continue with what I actually want to do there. So save this one. What do we want to do there? I want this thing to come to the center of the body. How do we move it to the center of the body? So we can display the body as flex. We can display the body as flex. Then I'll close this one. DF here, which is going to be displayed as flex. And when you are displaying something as flex, you know, it will turn the one that you display as flex as container, and whatever that is directly inside it, it will turn into item. What is directly inside the body is only main. So it's only main that is inside it. But if there are two items here, there are two items there, then to place them side by side. That's how flex. Can you see? It will place them side by side. But because there is only one item here, it will not. There's only one item. Oh, all these one they are inside main. They are not inside body. So it will not see them as item. The only thing is seen as item is whatever that is under it directly, not the one that is nested inside other items. So, and that is why it's not seeing everything down here. But if you want to change what is inside that one now, it means you have to talk to the main. But it's the main that is holding all those boxes. So if you want what is inside this one to be flex, you have to display it as a flex like this. Then if I save it now, you see that that one too will now be controlling what is inside it. But this is not what I want. On the small screen, I want them to be on top of each other. It's when we get to a bigger screen, they are going to be side by side. You are going to see how to do that using media query. So I need to change the direction to column because that's what you are going to use to make them to be on top of each other. Then I need the gap to be around that one area so that the spacing in between them here is going to be that. So inside the box, we have the box first of type. So I want to use this first of type. What is first of type doing here? I want to select box. But if I select box, there are two box inside this thing. So if I give them background color, you see now red. Can you see it's affecting this top one, it's affecting the second one. I only want to talk to the first one, not the second one. Or I want to talk to the second one, not the first one. That's where this selector now comes in, which is known as this first of type. So what I'm saying here is that I'm looking for the first box that is inside its parent. It can be first child, it can be first of type, but they have subtle difference. I will just use first of type for now. What I'm saying is that it's the first box that is inside its parent, not the second one, not the third one, not the fourth one, and stuff like that, depending on the number of boxes that you have there. So if I save it now, you see that it's not more there on the second one. And if you look at it, we only have two. So this is the first box and this is the second box. Again, this is the first and this is the last. So this is second and it's still the last. But now if I duplicate this thing, you know, this one is not last again. It's that second, while this one is the third and it's still the last one. So when you are using this property, you need to know whether it is last or it's not. Because the one I want to use now is known as last of type instead of first of type. So when I say last of type, it means I'm not looking for the first one, I'm looking for the last one. But you know, for this one and the second one, is it the same thing as last one? But it might not be like that for other design if you have a lot of them there. If I save it now, can you see? It's not working on the last, it's not working on the first. So when you apply the same class on different elements and you want to target a particular one out of it, you can use this selector here. Now I'm talking about the box, but now I'm putting the column, no space, because if you put space, it's doing something else. But you know, if you put space, you are talking about last of type that is inside box. But now, no space, is still talking about that box. So I'm looking for the box, but it must be the last one there. But what if you want to select maybe like the second one, the third one? You know, there's something like a third one here. There's something like a third of type, fourth of type, 6 of type. So there's no way this thing will know that one. What you use is end of type. So we have end of type. So inside the box, you now specify the one you are looking for. So if I do one, it's the same thing as first of type. So I'm looking for the first box that is here. If I put two, yeah, there's something like a second of type. The only thing you have is first of type and last of type. But if you want to select any one of them, just use this end. End here means you'll be passing the number of the one you are looking for. So if it's the two, you can select the second one. If I put three, nothing will happen because we don't have three box on the screen. If I save it, it will not select the first one, it will not select the second one because we only have a one, two. But if you go back to the page, if you have another box, then it will work. So maybe I have this box here third like this, and I can do it for the fourth one and stuff like that. So if I save it now, this is the first one. So this is going to be one, this is two, this is three, this is four, and this is five. So this is four, and this is going to be five like this. This is going to be four, and this is going to be 5. So now you can target, all of them are box, but I can target any one of them. If you just use box, you are talking about all of them. If you just say box, no, it's a class, it will look for anywhere you have a box, which is going to select all of them. But at some time you want to target a particular one here. So here now, just apply red color to other one, but the fourth one, the fourth box, I want it to be of a different color there. So now, which one am I looking for? The fourth one. Then this one will now have a background of yellow and like that. And if I save it, you see that the fourth one is not different because I'm targeting that one separately. And how do you target a particular one there? Just use end of type or and you specify the number of it there, which is the first. If it's the second one, just put two. It's like the second one that is going to target there like that. This is another selector. I just bring this one in. So this end of type is another type of selector that you join with the other selector to streamline your element. You know you have a lot of them, but you still want to go deeper into the one you are looking for because there's sometimes some of these selector will select multiple, but you don't want it to select multiple, you still want to go deeper to select a specific one. So you can now use this end of type to select any one of them that look alike, but they say I have order. So this is the first one, the second one, the third one, and so forth like that. So that's where you'll be using this one. And I'll be using it a lot later on because there's some design that you use the same class, but you can actually target them separately by using this end type to pick the one you want, whether the one on the left or the one on the right, if you are using the same class for both of them. But there's some design that you see that what you have on the left is what you have on the right, just little different. So you just apply one class for them, just like the way I did it there. See that all of them are using red, but there is one of them that is now different, which so I now target that one separately. Not that we'll be targeting each one of them one by one. I will not, because it's the same thing, red, red, red. Why do I need to repeat myself? Just apply it to all of them. But that one that is not different there, select it separately. Not that I have to type this in 4 play or in 5. But if you want to do it, you have to be targeting each one of them one by one, which is waste of typing when you are giving them separate class because they are the same thing. So here now you have to do box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and box 5. So which means you can still do it to using your box 1, you using your all selector. So if you want to do that one now, you have to be doing something like this: box 1 like this, comma, dot box 2, then dot box 3. No, the 4 is not, no, the 4 is not there because we want it to be a separate stuff. Then here is going to be box 5 now. So you now apply the same thing there. But instead of you doing like this, just give all of them box directly. You only do it once. Then the one that is not separate, you use the end type to just select it. So this is the same thing as you creating the stuff yourself like this. And that's the thing about CSS, because you can do things in different ways. So it's not like the HTML that is just one thing. In CSS, I can use this one and I can still use this one. It all depends on which one you are okay with there like that. So, but it's always good that you know all of them so that when you see it somewhere, it won't look as if that person is doing one magic. No magic there. They are just using the CSS rules. So now let me continue. What do we want to do? Let me continue here. So what do we want to do? On the small screen, we want this thing to have a border radius. What is border radius? You are not at the class, which is the let me give you border first so that you see what is going on there. So border, we have 1 pixels solid red like this, which is a line around the box. So this thing is not showing. So let me use 3 pixels. As you can see, this is what we call border radius here. This is what we call border here, which is what you can use to specify the border. But this thing is to jump back to the body. So let me reduce the width. So the width of this thing should be 90% like this. So instead of it being 100%, it's going to be 90%. And there's another thing we talked about, this flex. But if you look at it now, it's not, there's a space left in the body. So we want this thing to be shifted to the center. So how do you do it? Since you've already displayed this one as a flex, you can actually use your align and justify to shift your element. No, justify content. Just if you want the flex class, all these things are there. So if I use flex end, it will move everything to the end instead of it to be by this side. Or if I use flex start, everything will be by this side. But what I want it to be is at the center. But if you look at it, it's doing the on the horizontal axis. And the reason it is working on the horizontal is because the direction here is row. When the direction is row, justify is this. But when the direction is vertical, justify is this. When it is a colon rather. So align item is talking about the vertical direction when you are. So what is here is stretch. That's why you see that this thing is getting down here. It's not stopping where the content is. So if you use stretch, which is the default, it will always cover the height of its parent. But that's not what I want. I want it to be at the center too, so that it will go to the center of its parent. Let me remove all this one that we don't need, because I don't need all these blocks of code, but so that I will have more enough space like this. So saved. What's going on? What's time? Oh shit. So as you can see now, so it will go to the center. The reason why it's going to the center is because of this property here. So if I disable it, you see that it will fool the parents like this. But I can actually tell to it that it should not fool, it should be flex start. Flex start means that stay at the top of the parent, not that. And if I want to, I can say flex end. You move it to the end. But that's not what I want. I want it to be at the center of the parent. So it's always going to be at the center like this. And as you can see, we have this border, which I'm using this red stuff like that. But I don't want it to be red. Let me change it to another thing that is not part of that color. So let me just use green so that it will bring even though it's not making sense. So as you can see, this is the this is border here. But what if you want to make this edge to be round? What if you want to round this edge? That's what we call border radius. So border radius is what you can use now to make the edge to be round. There is a video on this, so you can watch it to the video. You see the full explanation on this, because you can actually give it one value, you can give it two value, you can give it three value, you can give it four value, and depending on the number of value you give it will determine how it's going to work. But right now I'm going to give it one value, and once you give it one value, it will apply it to all the sides. So it will apply to this, and this. For example, now if I use 2rem, you see that all the edges now they are now curved. So that's what we call border radius. But once you give it one value, that's what is going to happen. It's going to apply it to all of them. But now if I give it two values, first value is going to be for this and this, second value is going to be with this and this. I will not explain more than this. When you check the video, you see, as you can see, this one and this one are the same, this one and this one are the same, like that. But I don't want it like this. I just want it to be a single value. Another thing that we talked about is this box shadow, which is something I still used at the yesterday class. So we have the X movement, Y movement, the blur radius, and we have the color of the shadow. Just like the way you have shadow, you can give the box to shadow. How is the shadow is moving on the X? So here 10 pixels, on the Y 10 pixels. So if I don't give it the color is going to be black. As you can see, it's moving to, when you give positive for the X, it's going like this. When you give it negative, it's going towards the left. So on the X, it will be going towards the left when it is negative, but if it's positive, it's going there. The same thing with this one too. When it is negative, it's going up for the Y. So it will be going up. But if it is positive, it will be coming down. And if I want it to go down more, you can just give it around that 30. You see that it will, because the more value you give to this thing, the more this thing, the shadow is going to come down. The next one is blur. How do you want the shadow to blur out? So do you want it to be pure like this, or you want to blur it out? So if I use like 5 pixels, you see that it's going to blur the shadow. And if I increase the stuff, or if I increase it, you see like this, the color will start blurring out. If I use 35
Hello, sir.
pixels, then it's going to be like this. Yes?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Your network is breaking, sir. Your network is breaking.
Breaking. Please, we're almost done. The network is not.
Uh,
Can you
yes,
hear me
it's
now?
breaking.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
It's kind of slow. It's kind of slow.
Yeah, just follow it. You are going to watch it from video. Let me waste time. So you can just watch the end
Hello.
part from the. You can just watch the end part from the video. If it's not because now it's almost 1 hour. Like it's already 1 hour, sef. 1 hour 6 minutes. So I don't want it to go more than 1 hour 20 minutes. And we still have some stuff to do. So yeah, now let me continue with the stuff. I think I'm done for now. I'm done. So we are done with the design
Sure.
now on the mobile. But now, if you go to a bigger screen, you see that the thing is not looking nice. So look at what is going on the small screen. The design is actually looking okay. Oh, you are happy, I'm done, the design is looking like the way it is. But now on the big screen, is not actually okay. On big screen, what do you want to do? We want this content to be by this side and want the image to be by this side. And again too, we don't want this border to be green, we want it to be another color, and we don't need this shadow of black here. We want it to be another shadow. So how do you do that? You are going to be using media query. So you are going to be using media query. So how do you do it? You need to know the screen that you want to target. And don't forget, we are following this method of this mobile design first. So which means everything that we have been doing since, we are focusing on the mobile. The next thing we need to do is to scale up our design so that it work nice on the desktop too. So how do we do it? What we need to do now is to start applying our media query. So call your media and you call the whatever screen that you want to target there. So this is screen, and which screen are we? So when it get to a minimum width of 768px. So when we're on this screen, we want to start changing some of the style. You are not doing any new thing, no. Everything that you've done here is what you are going to just change there when you are now on another screen. So when you're on a bigger screen, you want to change some of the value that you already applied for mobile. Not that you are going to be doing another selector here. It's what you've already
Hello.
kind of put there. Yes. Please, you are going to watch this thing on the video. I don't want this thing to go more than 1 hour 20 minutes. This thing is just distracting my talks. Please, will you watch this thing on YouTube? So here now, what do we need to do? There's some stuff here that I want to change on the body. One of the stuff is this
Uh,
background. On the
but
desktop,
sometimes it normally appear like this on the video. I was watching one video this
please, you are
afternoon.
going to watch
Okay,
this
sir.
thing on YouTube. This thing is distracting the class. It's just adding unnecessary stuff to the video, to the record. So what did I want to do? On desktop, I want to change this background to something else, or I want to even reverse it. Because there's some design, the background you are using on the mobile, you see that they replace it with another background. It's used to the same thing, just that the size might be different, or the way some element are positioned is quite different on the desktop. So how do we do it? So here now, what we are saying is that when we're on this screen, like means from 768 upward, I want my body now to use a separate background now. So here I want, it's still going to be linear gradient, but now whatever the linear gradient we are using before is going to be different now. So now if I scroll up, what are we using before? We are using red and blue. But now when it is on a screen, bigger or equals to this 768. I want this thing to be yellow, and at the same time I want it to be green here. So if I save it, you will not see anything because we are still on the mobile screen. But now once I go to a bigger screen, you see that it will now switch. Because here now we are using what? We are using media query. Everything that is here is using it for mobile and desktop. But now we change some items. Look at only thing what I did. I only change background because some of the item that is coming here is still what is going to use on desktop. And this is the advantage of mobile first design. Because there is some stuff you are doing on the mobile, it's still the same thing you do on the desktop. The only thing you are just doing is you are just adding little addition or subtraction to the desktop. As you can see, anything you are not changing from the mobile to desktop, you don't need to specify it inside your media query. The only thing you want to change is what you specify. Every other thing, it will pick it from here, because that's how CSS is really smart. Whatever you don't change from here, you know, this is the body that we are selecting here. Since we are not changing width, we are not changing all this overflow, display, justify, and align, it will still be using everything here. The only thing it will just replace is the background of that mobile to the one of this one that we are using here. So with media query, and you are using the mobile design first, when you get to the media query, the only thing you want to change is what you specify. You don't need to specify what you already type at the top. It will pick them and use them, and whatever the stuff you are changing here, it will remove the old one, which is the one that is coming from the mobile. It will replace it with what you are doing with the same thing too. You can actually go more than this. So it's not only one media query you can use. You can use a lot of media query. So here now I can do at min width over 1024 pixels now. So the body too here, the background is going to be a separate thing. So no, that one is for tablet. But once you get to this screen too, it will switch again. So this is what you'll be doing when you are dealing with your design. And this thing now is all depend on the design. So we are using that yellow. What are we using? Yellow and green. So here I want to use purple and orange here. So if I save it now, that's what it's going to use now. So if I save it, it will be using purple and orange. But how do you see the tablet? So you can actually use your device emulator here. So every browser comes with that developer tools, and under the developer tools we have the device emulator to see how things are going to look like on different screens. So how do you bring this in out? Just go to these three dots there, go to this more tools. Down here you are going to see developer tools, which are the shortcut of control shift I, which is something I used to use, and that's what I used to use, because going there is just waste of time like that. And as you can see, it will come around, but it will not give you this UI. You have to be the one that will trigger the device emulator. And where is the device emulator? Is the one that used to be beside the second one here. So because your one might be at the top here, but it's always the one at the second. Or the name said is there, as you can see, toggle device relation like that. So and once you click on it, it will bring out this UI. Then from there, you can keep toggling from different screens. So here now, if I want to see how it's going to look on mobile, just go to the mobile. So as you can see, this is what we're going to see on the mobile. And when I go to 768, see that it's using this background like that. And once you get to that 1024, it switch again to like this. But here, the major thing is that when you are dealing with your media query, you firstly start with the mobile design. Then from there, when you are done with the mobile design, after that you start applying media query to make some changes to the screen range that you want. So here now, this one will only work on screen range from this 768 up to 1023. It will not get to 024 because you said the minimum is 010. So which means whatever where this one is going to work is 768 all the way to 1023. Because when you get to 1024, it will start using this one. See that what I did here is range. I'm not targeting 768 and I'm not targeting 1024. I'm targeting a range of the based on how the device used to categorize all these devices. Where we have this mobile, we have tablet, and we have desktop or yeah. So we have desktop like this. So if I still want to target a screen, maybe around that 1440, you just specify the material. Well, look at the way I'm doing them. I'm kind of arranging them in the order of the screen. Not that the 768 is here and that Because if you put this one first, you know this one will override that one because it will still be saying this one as true for when it is like this. So you arrange them according to the size. So starting from the small one, then you keep moving upward. But that's what we did. We start from the mobile and we start going up bit by bit. That's how you be arranging the stuff. So what do we want to do again? We said we want the image to be by this side and the content to be by this side. Don't forget, how do you do that? We, where is that one? It is this main. We display it as flex and we change the direction to column. So what we need to do is that on a bigger screen, we change the direction back to row because row is the one that used to place content side by side there like that. So let me reduce this thing so that I can move my browser to the this my VS Code like that. So where do I want to do it? I want it to happen from 768. So now inside it, I'm going to select. You see that everything that you are doing up is what you are doing here. The only thing you are just doing is to change the value of the property that you want. Like that. So which property that I want to change? Flex direction. I don't need to specify flex again. I don't need to specify other one I don't want to change. The only one you want to change is what you just mentioned. And what you want to do, you want to change it to row. So now if I save it, as you can see, they are going to be side by side. But something is happening here. We want the image to be here, but the image is here. Why is it like that? It's because of the way you arrange the content. Look at it. The image is the one coming first, while the content is the last one. But you don't even need to switch your content because you cannot switch content here based on the spread size. And it to be dated. So how do you do it? That's where this row reverse comes in. Now I mentioned the reverse. So instead of you doing it, you can actually reverse. No, it's still going to be row, but it will now make the first one to come last and the last one to be first. So here now I can now use row reverse. The same thing you can do for column too. Instead of column, you do column reverse if you are changing the order. So look at it now. The content is now by this side, the image. So when you're on small screen, the image will be at the top, the content is last. But when you're on the tablet, the content will be first, the image will be this one. And this is how you can do all this thing. Because we are going to be using this in later on for this design here. Look at it. The reason I'm to look at the design. Can you see the image is at the top, the content is down. But when you now get to a bigger screen, the image is now on the right, the content is now on the left. So the thing is being reversed. So, because this thing is very important. But what are you going to be using? You'll be using media query to change which of the direction that you want based on the screen size. And this is the design that we're going to be using in the next class now to put everything that we learned together today. So this is where I will stop for this because this one is just like I just picked this one to kind of replicate that design that we're going to be working on. I'm not going to go more than this because I don't want to be bringing design from my head. I want you to see what I'm trying to not that I will just bring something from my head. So that you not start looking like what is going on here. But once you see the design, you know what is going on the page like that. So in the next class now, we're going to work on the design. Look at it, see that design is totally different from what you have on desktop. On desktop, look at the body is having this background color. This one is having white here. But now when you go to mobile, you are not seeing that background again. It's only the white that I see because that one has already covered up the entire board, which is something we can do here too. Now I'm the one that actually limited the width to be like this. So if I want it to be like that too, what I can just do is to select that main and make sure that the width is 100. And again too, it covers everything vertically. Instead of me using where is it? Where is the body? Where I'm using this align item. So as you can see, so on this small screen, it covers all the entire stuff. But when you get a bigger screen, I can actually make it smaller. So it will not look like that design there. So that's what we're going to do in the next class here. So this is perfect time. This is 1 hour 90 minutes. So